Hello, and welcome to TVM-News' post-Oscars recap show. I'm Ellen.
I'm Emma Rushworth.
I'm Ellen Frantz, I guess I should say. And we're here to discuss everything that happened, from the winners to the outfits to whatever weird things that went on.
It was quite a night for Hollywood's biggest stars.
It was quite a night. So, here with us today we have Martinelli's Sparkling Cider.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored, but to add to the classy Oscar party effect. And we have Oscar himself, our celebrity guest. So, let's get started, Emma. Let's talk about the winners.
Okay, so Best Picture was Coda.
Yes, were you shocked at all?
No, I mean, it was a pretty stacked competition in terms of who was nominated. I felt like there were a bunch of different ways that the Academy could go, because you really never know until they actually vote on until it's actually announced. Because sometimes, like, my vote was for Licorice Pizza because I thought that Hollywood generally likes movies like La La Land, where it's
about
like
themselves.
Right, like about themselves, about like the past and like Los Angeles. So that's why I thought that movie would have been Best Picture. But there were also some favorites like Belfast and The Power of the Dog that had won big at other awards ceremonies like the BAFTAs. But no, I didn't think that Coda would win Best Picture, but I thought that it was deserving in and of itself, because representation is always necessary and welcome.
And there was a lot of representation. Like, I mean, now I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but Best Supporting Actor went to
Troy Katzer.
Troy Katzer, yes.
Who starred in it.
Yes, and it was just beautiful, to see people accept the Oscar in sign language. Like, that was awesome.
For me, the thing that gave me full body chills was when Coda won Best Picture, and when Troy Katzer won for his category, when instead of clapping, everyone went like this to clap in sign language, and I thought it was beautiful. It gave me full body chills.
Yes, I changed my prediction for Best Picture last minute. I thought it was going to go to Belfast because Kenneth Branagh is just amazing, and it's a good story. It's a movie that, like, I think my grandpa would like.
Yeah.
But I could also see Power of the Dog winning because it did win a lot of Golden Globes, and everyone's like talking about it. But in the end, I did think that, like, I think it's gonna go to Coda. It just seems like a really good story.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Best Leading Actress.
Leading actress. I was surprised that Jessica Chastain won.
Yeah.
Not because I necessarily doubted her abilities as an actress. I heard that she was incredible in the eyes of Tammy Faye, but it was a very stacked category, and I would have assumed that it would have gone to someone like Kristen Stewart or Olivia Colman. Olivia Colman was my pick because she's generally a favorite with the Academy voters. It seems like every movie that she's in gets nominated and wins a bunch of Oscars. So I had picked Olivia Colman, but I wouldn't have been surprised if Kristen Stewart had won, because her performance as Diana was just raw and powerful. I thought it was going to go to Kristen Stewart because she was Princess Diana. Like, if you looked during that movie, it was not my favorite movie, but her performance was amazing. Like, if there were certain shots of her that I was like, that's Princess Diana. Like, she's back. But I did enjoy The Eyes of Tammy Faye. It was kind of like a last minute thing that, like, snuck upon everyone, was how good Jessica Chastain was in that. Yeah.
And speaking of Jessica Chastain, she had the best outfit last night with, like, the purple.
The purple and the yellow. It reminded me of Tangled. It was beautiful.
And she's a redhead, so, like, the colors just, like, looked good together.
Yeah.
And fun fact, she arrived at the red carpet really early because she wanted to be in her seat in the audience when they announced the awards that were not broadcast. Because she's just that good of a person.
No, she
absolutely deserved that Oscar.
I was also very impressed by her humility, because she had posted on her Instagram story, basically each post on her Instagram story was like a dedication to the other women in her category.
Yeah.
And I know in her acceptance speech she said that, like, to even be considered amongst those people in like the same breath, the same thought as those other actresses was an honor in and of itself.
Oh yeah.
So I very much admired her humility, and I think that it was very deserving from a personal standpoint as well.
Absolutely. And for Best Supporting Actress, Ariana DeBose, there was no competition.
Everyone went in there knowing that it was going to be her.
Yes. Like, there was no, I mean, you and I saw West Side Story together.
Sobbed.
That was insane.
I didn't think that the role of Anita could get any better after Rita Moreno did it, because Rita Moreno was iconic.
Of course.
And also won the Best Supporting Actress back when West Side Story originally came out. So it was nice to see history repeat itself. But Ariana DeBose really took it to a new level. There was so much more emotion and passion behind her acting. She felt like a person, and like who had been through it, and really brought that to the role of Anita.
And her dancing was just amazing and added a whole new like layer to the character. And like I just feel like I've watched her go from nothing into like a star.
Yeah, she was the bullet in Hamilton.
She was literally in the ensemble of Hamilton. And now she has an Oscar in this. That was like what, 5 years ago? 6 years ago? Like,
yeah. You never count out the ensemble or the understudies.
Absolutely not.
Everyone is always just as important as the ingenues.
Absolutely. But yeah, now she and Rita Moreno are one of, there's like 6, I believe, in total, because there's 3 different characters have won an Oscar. People have played them and won Oscars for. So it's the 2 of them for playing Anita in West Side Story, Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger for playing the Joker in various movies of the Batman universe, and Robert De Niro and, forgetting his name, Don Corleone.
Oh, Marlon Brando.
Marlon Brando, thank you, for playing Don Corleone in The Godfather, and then Godfather Part 3, I believe, which is like the prequel about younger Don Corleone. Yeah,
very deserving to be up among those high-profile names.
Yes,
for sure.
I mean, this is old, but I still think that Heath Ledger is that is the definition of acting. Is Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. So
yeah.
Anyway,
let's see.
Best Supporting Actor.
Yes, I have my list here.
I know we talked about a little bit.
Yeah, so Troy Kotsur, who is a deaf actor, won for Best Supporting Actor for his role in Coda.
I was surprised, personally. I thought it was going to go to Cody Smith-McPhee from The Power of the Dog, because I believe he has won 13 awards just for that movie itself. And I really thought it was going to be him. And I think he's going to be huge. Like, he's going to be huge now.
No, he certainly has a presence about him as an actor that like definitely corroborates.
And he's really cute.
Yeah. I thought that it was going to go to his co-star Jesse Plemons from Power of the Dog, because he had won the BAFTA for that movie for his supporting actor role.
And his wife was also nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Kristen.
You mean his seat filler wife?
His seat filler wife, which was not a joke that went over well with people that Amy Schumer made.
Yeah.
But honestly, going off topic,
I was going to say, let's get into the hosts real quick.
Amy Schumer was funny, which is a shocking statement for me to say.
She was.
Never once have I ever laughed at Amy Schumer, except for last night.
It was funny, yeah. Like, I think that it shows, because my main gripe with Amy Schumer's humor is that it's a lot of self-deprecating, like, and that's not funny to me. That's kind of cheap, easy humor that doesn't really have any nuance to it. So the fact that like these jokes were like really well written and scripted, it really played off well with her dry sort of sense of humor in a way that I found enjoyable.
Right. And Wanda Sykes has always been funny.
Iconic.
The whole segment where she went to the Academy Museum made me laugh really hard.
Yeah.
And the part where Regina Hall called up all those male actors and said she had to give them a COVID test, and it was all the hot young ones like Jacob Elordi, Timothée Chalamet,
Simu Liu.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently that was a controversial moment on Twitter.
Yes.
Because people were saying
she was like sexually harassing them.
Right. I can definitely see their point.
Right.
Because if a man had done, if like a male actor had called up like all of like the young like Zendaya, Jessica Chastain, any of the other like young beautiful actresses up and been like, okay, so we're gonna have to like take all of your clothes off and COVID test you, and then I think that I think
it would not have gone over as well.
It's definitely an interesting. It's a fine line to walk.
Same with Amy Schumer when she made some reference about how, like people are dying in Ukraine, there's a war, and then it was just like
Yeah.
it was just like there.
What did you think of the mentions of Ukraine throughout the show?
I don't know. Sean Penn said he was going to publicly melt his Oscar if they didn't have President Zelensky, who is an actor, speak. I didn't know how it was going to fit. I mean, they had some people wearing ribbons. The Oscars logo, there was a blue line and a yellow line underneath it. So, like, some of it just felt very performative. I mean, they had Mila Kunis there, who's from Ukraine and has been working a lot with her husband, Ashton Kutcher, to, like, help the people. But she really just talked about how she introduced the song that Reba McEntire sang that was about something about, like, be staying positive or something. And it's just, like, I don't know. But I think it was enough that it wasn't over the top. It wasn't very political, which
surprising
okay
for the Oscars.
Yes, and I was okay with it. I was absolutely okay with it.
I think that maybe with Ukraine there could have been a little more. I feel like every sort of mention of it was kind of a throwaway.
Yeah.
But overall, I think that they did a nice job of being aware of the situation, but also not letting the situation dictate the night.
Yeah. And how, like, every commercial break pretty much cut to that one that was the cryptocurrency, about how everything that we take for granted is now, like, a gift in Ukraine kind of thing. So I think that was nice. Like, the commercials focused more on it than the actual show. But
so let's get into screenplay. We're both writers. So screenplay is definitely...
I don't know much about screenplay.
Are
we talking adapted or edited?
We can get to both.
Okay.
So best original screenplay went to Belfast. So original screenplay is basically this is the exact story that was pitched, very minimal edits to it.
And it's not based off of a prior
it's not
work,
based off of
whether it be
prior
like
work.
a play or a book or something.
So I was happy with Belfast. I don't believe that that's what I chose. I can't remember off the top of my head what I did pick for our ballots, but I was fine with it. I thought that it was a good
that was
screenplay.
The one that I had Licorice Pizza for. I wasn't a big fan of the movie, but it was just something that I think, like you said earlier, that the voters would really enjoy because it's about Hollywood and reminds them of, like, better times and stuff. Belfast makes sense, but also, how original is it if it's based off of a historical event, you know?
That's true, yeah. I mean, I guess it's more so the story of that specific family and the struggles that they face.
Because even if the family wasn't real necessarily, it's based off of...
There were similar experiences.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so then adapted screenplay went to Coda. Coda was definitely one of the big winners of the night besides Dune.
And that was based off of a book, I believe. It seems like it was based off of a book.
I believe it was.
I had it going for Dune. No ounce of my being is interested in seeing Dune. Yeah. Except for Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya.
I kind of want to watch it, but I'm also like I'm not in a hurry to watch it.
Yeah. I just I don't have. It's like 2 hours long, and then I think you need a solid 2 hours afterward to unpack and understand what was going on because it's all science fiction-y and stuff. So I had that for best adapted. Oh, thank you, topped me off. I had that for best adapted screenplay because it's based off of a book. Yeah. And it was sweeping up everything, sound editing, cinematography, those were correct. I don't know.
That's okay. So no surprise, Encanto won animated feature.
Because we don't talk about Bruno.
No, we don't. I was honestly a little disappointed by the performance of We Don't Talk About Bruno.
It was like the first 2 sentences of the song, and then they rewrote it, and then there was a Megan Thee Stallion feature.
I wasn't complaining about Megan Thee Stallion,
which was good.
But I would have preferred like the actual song. But I understand that like it's a kids movie and kids aren't watching the Oscars at 10:30 at night.
It was just weird though that they didn't nominate the song.
Yeah.
They nominated another song from Encanto, which was still really beautiful.
And they played it,
and it was still really pretty, but why did they do We Don't Talk About Bruno if it wasn't nominated? Yeah. Kind of thing. That's kind of like the reason why the show went so long, I feel, is because they randomly people talked for hours and then there were other things that happened that we'll get into later. Yeah. But like they just showed clips of random movies. Like they had the Godfather reunion, so there was a clip there, and they had the Juno reunion, so there was a clip there, but then they showed
they had Pulp Fiction, they had who else reunited? There was a bunch.
They had that whole thing that was like the top 10 most shocking moments
in cinema history.
And number 1 was from the Snyder Cut of the Justice League.
Which I was like,
Who
voted
Who
for
actually
that?
watched this? And then we had the stupid
The
Twitter
Twitter
ones that were voted on by people on Twitter,
Yeah.
which is why the god-awful Camila Cabello Cinderella took second, and Spider-Man and Tick, Tick, Boom were at the bottom.
Yeah.
But whatever. What do I know?
So let's talk about Dune. I know that we kind of touched on it's absolutely killing it.
Don't ask me the plot, because I don't know.
I vaguely have an idea, but it did sweep a bunch of awards. It got production design, cinematography, editing, sound, visual effects, score.
I mean, it's Denis Villeneuve, I believe is how you pronounce his name. I think he did Arrival, and Arrival was pretty much like the same editing, sound, cinematography. So, and it's interesting though, because that's going to be a franchise. Because there's multiple Dune books in the series. So I think that's really interesting. Because you don't see that a lot. You know, like Marvel and Star Wars, like those are huge franchises. Like Harry Potter, like none of them got really any Oscars at all.
Right. Yeah, that is definitely an interesting point. I feel like the Academy doesn't always recognize movies that are a lot of fan service. I feel like the Academy can sometimes be a little, not snobbish, but a little...
I know more about movies than you do.
Yes.
Genius.
Very selective in what they consider cinema and what they don't consider cinema, and I think that they need to broaden their horizons if they want to keep functioning as like a prestigious institution in Hollywood. I think that, you know, sure, movies like Avengers Endgame are 3 hours of pure fan service and stuff that maybe isn't super realistic, but it broke so many box office records that clearly it's something that people want to see and is worthy of recognition.
Yeah, definitely. I was really excited to see that Spider-Man was nominated for 1. I knew it was going to lose, but because it lost to Dune, because Dune won everything, because of the special effects.
Yeah.
The Spider-Man special effects are really awesome, especially when you take into consideration people like Doc Ock or like the Green Goblin, who first made their appearance almost 20 years ago.
Right.
The way the technology has changed, like the original Doc Ock costume that Alfred Molina wore was all puppets, and now it's not real. It's all green screen, and I think that's fascinating. So I do think that in that way, the special effects are really cool, but I think if they had not brought in like Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina, like the special effects would really be not as big. But
definitely
not surprised I went to Dune. I mean, they have a freaking sandworm. So.
Yeah. So let's talk costuming and design, because we are obviously dressed up very nicely for this, as if we actually are going to the Oscars.
I was there.
Did you have fun?
Yes.
Did you have front row seats?
Yeah.
Nice.
Will Smith slapped me.
So costume design went to Cruella, and makeup and hairstyling went to the Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Neither of which surprised me. I mean, Tammy Faye was known for her crazy makeup, because that was part of her whole self-conscious. She needed to wear makeup, and it took place over a handful of years, and so that they nailed. And I mean, Andrew Garfield is in that, and they made him gross and old and ugly, and that's hard to do, because Andrew Garfield,
young
he's
and
beautiful.
Hot. Yeah.
So, and same with Jessica Chastain, she's gorgeous. So for her to like look crazy like that, but the costuming, I mean, Cruella, once again, it's kind of about costuming.
Right.
She wants to be a fashion designer. So in a way it made sense.
Yeah, there were all these crazy elaborate intricate costumes that went into Cruella. Like there was the one where, you know, she like literally caught fire and like transformed her dress. So it was very fitting that that got nominated and then won the award.
I would have loved to see West Side Story win though, because I watched it multiple times because I love it so much, but you realize that like the sharks are wearing a different color scheme than the Jets, and because the sharks came from Puerto Rico and they don't have as much money as the Jets, that their outfit, like their costumes are a lot more old than the Jets, who have the up-to-date modern for the time. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah,
but I understand why Cruella won.
Yeah, I loved the costuming. Everything about West Side Story, I could go on for hours because that movie is so beautiful, minus Ansel Elgort. So,
it was nominated for 7 Oscars and won 1.
Yeah, which is upsetting, but you know, it was a very stacked nomination.
It was a hard year. There was a lot of good competition.
So,
and only like a handful I was able to like perfectly predict.
Yeah, I think total I got maybe 10 correct.
I think I got like 15.
That's impressive.
Thank you.
So Billie Eilish won her first Oscar for her song No Time to Die from No Time to Die.
It's a good song. All
Very
James
good.
Bond songs sound the same.
Yes, I agree.
I hope that Lin-Manuel Miranda does get an EGOT because he was nominated for doing the music for Encanto. But, I mean, he's so good that he's going to do multiple. And that's all he's missing is the Oscar because he has the Emmy, various Tonys, and the Grammy.
Doesn't he also have a Pulitzer?
Yes.
So he could be a PGOT.
Yes.
Which very few...
There's like only one more person.
Richard Rodgers, I think, was a PGOT.
I was going to say, either him or Steven Sondheim.
Rita Moreno was also a PGOT, I believe. Or an EGOT. One of them.
Interesting. But his wife has COVID, so he, out of abundance of caution, wanted to skip. So I'm glad that he lost in a way that because if he won an EGOT, which is a big deal, and he was not in attendance, so in a way it worked out.
Right, exactly.
It's a good song. It's just all James Bond songs sound the same.
No, I agree. They do get a little, they're all kind of like the same melancholy, sad, but like
minor
nostalgic,
key.
Flow to them.
But she seemed really excited, so.
No, I was thrilled for her. I thought that she was, very deserving. It definitely wasn't an undeserving win.
Absolutely. All right. We're going to address the elephant in the room. Oh, wait, no, we didn't do director.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jane Campion.
Jane Campion won Best Director. Not surprised. Everyone's talking highly of that. Yeah.
I liked her and then immediately disliked her because of what she had done at, I believe it was the BAFTAs. So Sam Elliott, who has been in a bunch of Westerns, very famous actor, had criticized her because she's from Australia, basically saying like a woman who's from Australia can't make Westerns. And she had a very nice, biting but eloquent response to his words. And so I liked her. And then immediately after, she had won Best Director at the BAFTAs. And for some reason decided to start picking on Serena and Venus Williams, saying that like they didn't know what suffering was or struggle, and it immediately put a bad taste in my mouth. So I knew she was going to win, but I didn't want her to win because don't like her as a person.
Yeah, and I'm actually excited for her though because she's only the third woman in history to win Best Director, and the last year was Best Director was a woman,
right? So
that's really exciting. But I'm actually really happy for her because she got up against tough competition. I mean, Steven Spielberg, Kenneth Branagh, Denis Villeneuve, like I said, and Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah,
like big names, all
stacked
have like
category,
various Oscars amongst themselves already. So
no, definitely
it's really exciting for her.
Yeah, definitely exciting in terms of women, in terms of feminism, but kind of sucked because it was her.
And also, we would be remiss to forget and not add that Beyonce was amazing last night.
Yep. Absolute queen.
She performed her song from King Richard on the tennis court that the Williams sisters learned how to play tennis on, and they were all wearing the shade of green as tennis balls.
Yeah.
And she was just amazing, and it was a good song. And
Beyonce never disappoints.
She never disappoints.
She never misses.
She came from the tennis court to the award show.
It was great.
Love her. Yeah. But anyway,
I'm
going to need a lot more sparkling cider to get through. We will now be discussing the elephant in the room, the best leading actor category. Emma, what the heck happened last night?
Well, Ellen, as the saying goes, when you play rock, paper, scissors, paper beats rock usually, but this time Will Smith beat rock.
Yes.
So for those of you unaware, and by unaware I mean living under a rock, pun intended, that Chris Rock got slapped right across the face last night.
On live television.
And was cursed out by Will Smith.
So what happened was, Chris Rock came out to present the Best Documentary Feature Award, and he's a comedian, but all of the jokes for the Oscars are pre-written, and they're reading off a teleprompter. You could see it a couple shots. You could see the teleprompter in the camera. And he came out and made some joke about Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith's wife, and who recently came out that she's suffering from alopecia, which is a hair loss disease. not many people knew about this. I didn't. I know I didn't. But he made some comment about how she's making a sequel to G.I. Jane, which is a movie starring Demi Moore where she had, like, shaved her head. And at first, like, the camera caught Will Smith laughing because Will Smith and Jessica Chastain last night were laughing as if everything was the funniest thing they've ever heard.
They were Will Smith was, like, in tears laughing at, like, everything that was being said last night, and it was like, okay, that wasn't even that funny for some of them.
Yeah, so he was laughing at this comment about his wife, but then he saw his wife's reaction and she was not happy. So he just walked up on the stage as Chris Rock is talking, reading off the teleprompter, and Chris Rock was like, oh, hey, and then just smacked him. And then the sound cut out because they were obviously cursing at each other because there was a 5-second lag put in just in case Amy Schumer were to do something. But last night, Amy Schumer was the innocent one.
Yeah.
And for a solid, like, minute, there was just no sound. The camera panned to Will Smith. You could read his lips. He was cursing out Chris Rock. But no one really knew what was going on. We all thought it was staged because the smack was so loud. And it was just awkward because Will Smith was probably going to win Best Leading Actor. And then he did. Which, you know, I feel bad because it's kind of, like, undermines his win. It's his first Oscar win. You know, he was very deserving for his role in King Richard. But, like, this just completely eclipses that. And he did realize that mid-acceptance speech. It was really upsetting almost to watch. I saw some guy on Twitter say that we were watching a man realize he ruined the most important moment of his life for himself live on TV.
Yeah.
No one was surprised. I mean, I had Will Smith winning as much as I would have loved to have it be Andrew Garfield for Tick, Tick, Boom because he was amazing in that. But we all knew it was going to be Will Smith. Will Smith knew it was going to be Will Smith.
Yeah.
Because during the commercial break, after the whole incident with Chris Rock, like, people like Denzel Washington and Tyler Perry and Bradley Cooper, like, came to comfort him, and Denzel Washington said something about, like, you know, when you're at your highest, that's when the devil comes to get you and stuff. And so they were really, like, helpful to him. But what do you think about his, like, acceptance speech? Was so bizarre because he was, like, crying, and he said he was crying not because he won the award, but I think he was just embarrassed and full of regret. But then he said something about, you do weird things for love, but like, I don't know if that was, I mean, I understand standing up for your wife, but like.
Yeah, it's, the whole situation is very, very weird because, like you said, like, I remember I went right to Twitter. Yeah. I was like, Twitter will know exactly what's going on.
Because then,
was this real? Was this fake? Yeah. Because Chris Rock literally went, uh-oh, which is the worst thing to say before you get smacked on live television. But he literally went, uh-oh.
And he went, okay, cool, dude, or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is, like, the number one thing you don't say after you get smacked.
Chris Rock, though, props to him, handled it like a champ. Never touched his face to be like, oof, like, that hurt. Like, just
I think he was just honored to be hit by Will Smith. But I will say, though, that for many years, apparently in his stand-up routine, Chris Rock had specifically placed jokes in there about Jada Pinkett Smith.
Gotcha.
Because, you know, she was open about having cheated on Will, and everyone was like, Will, are you okay? And making fun of him for, like, staying with her. So there's already some weird tension in their relationship already. And so I guess the year that Chris Rock was the host, which was 2016, the Smiths boycotted the Oscars because they were mad at him at the comments he made.
I remember that happening, yeah.
And so I'm not saying that, like, Will Smith was in the right, but this felt like years worth of anger.
Absolutely. I think that, you know, any sort of comment about someone's appearance is just, it's a low blow. Even if you're trying to be funny, it never lands the way that you intend. And so I think that, and I'm not really a fan of Chris Rock to begin with, but I feel like he definitely was out of line making that kind of joke. I personally thought it was funny because, I mean, really, if you think about it, Chris Rock is the only comedian to have ever faced consequences for a joke that he's told. So, and in real time, I'm a big believer in the mess around and find out method of living. So Chris Rock certainly messed around and found out last night.
I definitely think he should not have made that. Excuse me. Oh God, I'm going to start over again because I burped. I definitely don't think he should have made that joke because, like you said, it's making fun of somebody's physical appearance as well as something that she's very self-conscious about because, you know, no one wants to go through, like, a hair loss disease.
Right.
And it was just ironic that Chris Rock had just put together a short film about black women's hair and how like important to their culture that is. But I don't think Will Smith should have gotten up in the middle of the broadcast and smacked him.
Sure.
But I'm glad to hear that, you know, they asked, you know, do you want to press charges? And Chris Rock is like, it's whatever. And like Will Smith, like he didn't directly apologize in his acceptance speech, but he realized that like he was making a fool out of himself and like is dealing with the internal consequences of the thing. So
would not want to be Will Smith this morning, I'll tell you that.
I mean, I watched videos of him dancing to getting jiggy with it at the after party, so I think Will Smith is
I think he's fine.
But it took a lot of picking up from, like I said, Denzel, Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, I definitely it's a very complex issue. I thought it was funny, mostly because I just like drama and mess, but I think that overall, they're both right and they're both wrong.
Yes.
Like, sure, Chris Rock can say whatever he wants, but also maybe don't make fun of people. And then sure, if someone made fun of your wife, like, they have it coming to get punched in the face. But also maybe don't do it on live television. Maybe say, hey, meet me out behind the Dolby Theater and I'll rock you, basically, pun intended.
Or literally just be like, hey, like, I didn't like what you said about my wife.
Yeah. It was very awkward. It was very messy. What just happened was trending on Twitter, which was fun, but also, like, it was
because in
chaotic.
the United States, like, everything that was said is that they said to each other, they were not allowed to air. But in England, they have different censorship rules. So people in England and Australia were able to post the unedited version because then during Will Smith's acceptance speech, they weren't sure if they were supposed to show it or not, so they kept like flashing the Oscar logo and covering him, and all you could hear was the audio. It was just weird. I was fully convinced he was gonna, in the middle of a speech, be like, I don't deserve this, and hand it back in. There are talks about whether or not he should give it up. The Academy might make him hand it in. I'm not really sure. I don't know if he should hand it in, but it definitely should be a reminder to him and everyone else that, like,
your actions have consequences.
Your actions have consequences, and no matter, even if you are winning the biggest award, like, you're still a human. And
that there was some rules that were put in place with the Academy as a result of the Me Too movement. So people are saying, you know, this is just a different kind of assault. It's not a sexual assault. It's not sexual harassment, but it is an assault. But I agree. I was also, because there were a couple of times where he paused during his acceptance speech that I was like, oh.
And he was like one of the only people to not, he went on forever, but he did not get played off because people wanted to know what he was going to say.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, they do generally give more time to the bigger awards for acceptance speeches because they're a little, not more important, but, you know, they have a higher honor to them and are usually given to more popular celebrities. So it's you know, it's a balance between importance and viewership and money.
But yeah, I don't remember anything prior to that, anything that was said, anything that happened. That was
I could not imagine not having watched the ceremony and then waking up this morning to all of the memes on Twitter.
I mean, my professor this morning, he started class saying, you know, I'd be remiss to not talk about it, which is something you say when a big historical event happens. And he said, you know, if you guys ever get invited to the Oscars, do not smack anyone. And if you do, you can't say I didn't warn you.
Wise words.
Wise words.
Oh, okay, so we're getting played off right now.
Played off.
Thank you so much for watching the Oscars special. Be sure to like the TVM YouTube and Facebook page to stay up to date on the latest happenings. I'm Emma Rushworth.
I'm Ellen Frantz.
Good night.
Good night.